Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's video we're going to be going back 30 years into the past to April of 1988, and we're going to be taking a look at Macintosh System Software 6 that just turned 30 years old this April. So it's been a couple months since then, but I just thought this would be just a really awesome idea just to give you guys a look at what the Mac OS looked like 30 years ago. System Software 6, as you probably know, System Software 6 and System Software 7 eventually became Mac OS, starting with 7.5, I believe, is when they officially changed the name to Mac OS, and then eventually Mac OS 10, and now back to just Mac OS. So this is it. This is what System Software 6 looked like. As I mentioned in my Macintosh SE video that you guys may have seen, and if you haven't, I'll have a card come up on screen right now. This interface, honestly, you could probably take somebody that has used the modern Mac OS, so Mac OS, Yosemite, Mac OS Sierra, High Sierra, Mojave. You could take somebody using one of those systems, put them in front of this computer, and I guarantee you they would be able to find their way around. And that's just because of how similar that these two operating systems look. Obviously, Mac OS 10 is a much, or I should say Mac OS, the modern Mac OS, is a much more advanced operating system than this OS right here. It just is. I mean, it's a much newer OS. It supports more applications. This software is it's vintage, it's abandonware, it's very antiquated. But the same design concepts are here. You have the Apple menu bar right up here. You have your icons on the desktop. There is no dock, but that would eventually be added in Mac OS 10. But overall, there are a lot of design elements that have kind of been kept, and obviously the design of things like the menu bar and the icons, those have improved over the years, but the basic functionality is still here. I mean, in this menu bar, I can go to the Apple menu here, and I can go to About the Finder, just like you can go to the Apple menu and About this Mac in the modern systems. And in this About window right here, it just gives us a detail of, okay, this is the Finder version that we're running. Here's the System Software version. And it tells us how much memory that is being used. So obviously, again, the modern counterpart to the About window does show you more information, provides more functionality, but that general concept is here. Unlike the Mac OS today, you could actually launch applications from the Apple menu. You can see here that we had shortcuts to go to the alarm clock, calculator, chooser, control panel, find file, keycaps, and scrapbook. So this definitely did get changed when things like the applications folder were added. But I could still just go, let's go ahead and browse the Macintosh HD here. And in here, I could just go into, let's say, this MacWorks folder, because this is an application that is installed on here. And I could launch Microsoft Works for Mac. This is a very, let me go ahead and actually double click on the icon there. This is a very, very old version of Microsoft Works. But yeah, I mean, this is Microsoft Works right here. I mean, let's go ahead and go to About Microsoft Works here. This is Microsoft Works 2.00b. So let me go ahead and just create a new Word document here. And here we are in a very old word processor that, let me go ahead and just type out here. It works as you would expect it to. Obviously, again, a lot of the modern features in a word processor, like spell check and auto capitalization, they're just not going to be here. But overall, the same core functionality is still here. And you're going to probably see that throughout this entire system. So I'm probably going to try to stop saying it so much. And when I'm ready to close out of this application, I can go into the File menu up here and go to Quit down there at the very bottom. But I can also use the Command key Q shortcut that you can still use in the modern Mac OS today. So I'm going to just go ahead and say no, that I don't want to save changes to this document. And here we are back in the Finder at the Macintosh HD. So we'll go ahead and close out of this folder right here. So let's just go ahead and launch some of these applications. So let's go ahead and launch the control panel here. And I do want to just very briefly talk about this and just kind of how this control panel was designed. When Apple was designing this control panel, they wanted it to kind of show off the graphical user interface. That was kind of the whole purpose of making this operating system. They wanted to really show off what the graphical user interface was capable of, because you have to remember, at this time, I mean, not at the time that System Software 6 was released, but when the Macintosh came out in 1984, graphical user interfaces were not the most common thing. Yes, they were out there. I mean, macOS was not the first GUI by any means. There were graphical user interfaces out there, but most people just used DOS, or they just used, a text-based interface. And Windows, which came out in 1985, was not an operating system by itself. It was just an environment that ran on top of MS-DOS. So the whole GUI concept was a very new thing to people. So Apple wanted to push the concept of a graphical user interface, which is why that in this control panel here, they have all of these animations, because they just kind of want to show you visually what all these different things do. So like with the rate of the insertion point blinking, they actually have a animated insertion point here that will change speed when you change it from slow to fast. You can also go down here to the speaker volume, and they make this look like a slider, and you can just go ahead and slide it up, and the speaker volume will change, obviously, depending on where that it is. For the date, they have a small little calendar icon here, and over here with the menu blinking, you can change how many times that the menu blinks when you let go of your mouse button. And that is something that I didn't mention earlier, that is totally different from macOS today. Back here in the older system softwares, if you just go up here to the file button and just click on it once, it will immediately open and then immediately close right after it. Because what you actually have to do is press and hold the mouse button and then drag it down. So let's say that you want to open something, you would drag your cursor down to open and then let go of it. You can actually still do this in the modern Mac OS today. If you're on a Mac, try it right now. Go up to your menu bar, click on File, or click on whatever menu, and then continue holding your mouse button. Go down to whatever option that you want to select and let go of it. It will still work. So that is something that they have carried over from the first ever release of the Macintosh system software, but they obviously made it more simple, throughout the years, to just, instead of having to press and hold it, you can just go up here and you can just click it once, and then the menu will pop out, and then you can go down and click on the option that you want. Yeah, that is that. Let me go back to the control panel here. That is kind of how the opening menus worked. But in the control panel here, you had the ability to change how many times that the option would blink. So the default, I believe, is 3 times. You can just turn it off entirely. So if I want to go here now, you see that it just won't do anything. They also organized this by icons as well. So here we are in the general tab. We can go down to keyboard, mouse, and same deal with the mouse here. They had all these icons representing what each of these options did. So like with double click speed, you could change how fast that you double click the mouse button. You could change it to be really slow, and they do a little animation there, as you may be able to see, or you could go to really fast, and it makes that animation a lot faster. Sound here is the same deal. They have a speaker volume slider, and you have the option to choose a different alert sound. So yeah, that's a general overview of the control panel. We'll go ahead and close out of that. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of these bundled applications. So we'll go ahead and open up the calculator, let's say. So there are a lot of applications like this that are still in the modern Mac OS today. There is still a calculator that is included with Mac OS. And these applications were almost designed like a widget, to where you could have this on your desktop somewhere. Obviously, you can still close it, but there are no options for like the file menu. So all of these menus up here still take, or they will still perform functions in the Finder or whatever application that you were open. So if I go to File Open, it'll still open up the Finder window just like it did before. So this, there are no menu bar options for these applications. So you could sort of call them like desktop widgets, but I don't believe there was a term for it back in the 80s. Same with things like the alarm clock here. Alarm clock is pretty much the same deal. It's a little draggable window that you could have on your desktop that would show the current time and your alarm time. So there you have it. That is a look at Macintosh System Software 6 from back in April of 1988, and how that it looks, how it compares to the modern Mac OS systems. And you can see there are a lot of things that Apple just kept and just kind of carried over to the more modern systems that work exactly the same in like macOS Mojave as they did back here in System Software 6. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to get subscribed down below if you haven't already, and if you want to see more videos like this in the near future. Also be sure to drop me a comment letting me know your thoughts on these vintage Macintosh system softwares. Have you ever used them? You know, what has your experience been using them? Just, you know, any cool stories like that would be awesome. I always love, you know, reading what you guys have to share. And as always, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.